Wonderful. And so now I'm going to introduce that gentleman to you. And this really is an example of progress through collaboration, because speaking in the stead of Kevin O'Connell from the Office of Space Commerce, we have Robert Rego, who comes to us from Stratcom. He's the Strategic Missions Advisor to the Commander at U.S. Stratcom at Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska. A very impressive place if you ever have a chance to go there. And I will tell you, he assists the commander in operationalizing the Space Joint Operating Area. But if you go down on his internet accessible bio and you look at the chronology of this man's storied career, I won't out him and tell you what year this chronology begins, but I will tell you it's not all space all the time, but it's mostly all space all the time, and it's an incredible progression. So I will not bore you with me recounting to you about him. I'm going to let him speak for himself. Thank you.
So the surprise guest always makes me a little bit nervous because I've been built up so much. But I will tell you that they've prepared me to bring me back down to earth by placing this card on top. So I'm good. Now, I do want to thank Diane and also Moriba and the university, and bring greetings from General John Hyten and the 162,000 men and women of United States Strategic Command. We've got soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and civilians on alert around the world today. Executing the strategic deterrent mission is job one. I'd also, as Diane said, want to bring some greetings from Kevin O'Connell, Director of the Office of Space Commerce at the Department of Commerce. We've done a few of these, Kevin and I, a little bit of Huntley Brinkley on the stage. And in this case, I'm here. Kevin's at another venue in the D.C. area, and then gets on a plane for overseas tonight. So we're maximizing to get the word out. But Kevin did send along some words, and I'll go ahead and read his greeting to you. Good afternoon. I commend Diane and Moriba for an excellent agenda. I regret that neither I nor my Department of Commerce colleagues could join you for the conference due to some schedule conflicts here in Washington. An urgent challenge, SSA and STM, is crucial to all space activities, from enabling human spaceflight to supporting safety, science, and security. SSA and STM also contributes to commercial and economic growth, fueling progress towards the trillion-dollar space economy. Consistent with the President's direction under SPD 3, advancing SSA and STM capabilities is a top priority of the Department of Commerce, in close partnership with the Department of Defense and others in the interagency. The key is to improve the quality and accuracy of the conjunction assessments while also creating new sources of data and analysis that enhance space safety and stability in other ways. Our collaborative efforts right now are focused on developing an open architecture data repository as the place to encourage this kind of integration. Rob Rego, me, can speak to our excellent partnership and the broader work of the executive branch in this area. We remain excited about the prospects of commercial innovation in areas from new sensors to your work to a wide range of data management, analytics, and visualization to inform decision-making at all levels and to keep space safe for strong commercial growth. Good luck in your collaboration over the next few days, and thank you for all your efforts. Our allies and others are watching the U.S. closely in this and other space activities. I hope to see you all soon. Sincerely, Kevin. So as we think about what brought Kevin and I, the DoD and Commerce together, it's really SSA and STM, as he noted. For this talk, then, I'd like to posit that improving our capability has, and more importantly, will continue to come from expanded cooperation, expanded partnerships, and the theme for today, progress through collaboration, certainly resonates. Now, what I'd like to do in this first part, really, is to give you an update a bit on things that are happening in the space arena, particularly those things at Strategic Command. There's a lot on the plate, and if there's something I don't touch on, I'll leave room at the end for some questions or catch me afterwards. For this audience, I want to focus on the space pieces and the Joint Force Space Component Command, led by General J. Raymond and his team in Colorado Springs. Many of you remember JFCC Space and our team of space professionals out at Vandenberg. A lot's the same under the Joint Force Space Component Command, but it's more than just some clever rearranging of the letters. And really, quite a bit is different. First and foremost, command rests with General Raymond in Colorado, and operations are now executed through two key command centers, and one in Colorado and one in California. The one in California is probably going to be very familiar to you as the JSPOC, or Joint Space Operations Center. But last July, we transitioned the JSPOC to true combined operations as the CSPOC. This cemented our long-standing operational relationships with the UK, Australia, and Canada, who all have space operators embedded within the CSPOC. This also advances our opportunities to share both information and capability needs. You should also know that our Space Situational Awareness team, led by our pros at the 18th Space Control Squadron, while they're also at Vandenberg, are separate and in direct support to the two operational command and control nodes, the National Space Defense Center and the CSPOC that I already talked about. The National Space Defense Center is in Colorado Springs out at Schriever Air Force Base, and it conducts the Protect and Defend mission 24/7, and this is something that they started doing around the clock about this time last year. The NSDC grew directly from the series of experiments that we conducted as we organized the Joint Integrated Combined Space Operations Center, the JICSPOC, or the forerunner of the NSDC. So JFCC Space becomes the Joint Force Space Component Command, and the commander is General Raymond in Colorado Springs. JSPOC becomes CSPOC, and the NSDC is doing the Protect and Defend mission at Colorado Springs. So let's go ahead and talk about a few other elements. The first is our the multinational space collaboration effort. This one is also at Vandenberg, and it's a companion to the CSPOC. In the MSC, we've got German, British, French, and US members working together primarily on space domain awareness. In fact, just last week, we had our allies in to discuss combined operations, and this week is one of the first planning conferences also at Vandenberg for Global Sentinel, our allied exercise that'll transpire in the fall. The second element that we want to talk about is the commercial integration cell. And these are commercial companies, consortia, and others executing various supporting space missions. Currently, we have 7 entities in the CSPOC to work the tough problems of the domain in a unitary manner. This was no more apparent than during the last Schriever War Game last fall. During the war game, the lead for the CIC briefed the commander, General Raymond, during each battle rhythm, day in and day out for the 12 days of the game. That's a game changer when you can consider that just a few short years ago, the commercial partners weren't even allowed on the floor at the CSPOC or the JSPOC at the time. The third piece is something that you all know much about, and that's the SSA data sharing program. And the SSA sharing agreements are what bind us to a myriad of partners. To date, we're north of 87, 16 nations, and the remainder commercial and consortia partners, and that grows month by month. So SSA data sharing people are those people, like-minded, responsible nations, entities, and operations that come together to ensure a safe, secure, sustainable space environment. I'm going to go ahead and save some of the other pieces for questions, but all of that I just talked about is on track to transition to the new Unified Space Command in the next 60 to 90 days. With all this, though, I don't want you to be lulled by the idea that changes were the end game. In each case, we sought improvement in our ability to operate and dominate in an environment that's no longer characterized by benign activity or solely with an exploration outlook. A few months ago at Harvard, General Hyten spoke on strategic deterrence, and he was adamant that cutting spending without significant diplomatic progress would be detrimental to national security. He said, if you want to save money, change the threat. Don't change our level of security, change the threat. His underlying message, though, was to change the calculus, change the way the adversary considers cost and benefit. If we're going to enable, expand, and innovate, if we're going to have resilience in this most important of domains, we must change the calculus. And at the heart of our ability to effect change is collaboration, sharing, and partnerships. There's been a good deal in the media lately about space as a warfighting domain, and it is, just like land, sea, air, and cyberspace. Clearly, our adversaries understand our usage, understand our reliance, and seek to deny us those benefits. We've got to get better. We must improve. We must seek enhanced capabilities. And for this, the first and essential step comes from partnerships. Strong, enduring relationships based on shared risk and mutual benefit. Initially, then, if you look at what I've talked about, we're strengthening our existing partnerships through the CSPOC. We're growing the partner base via the MSC. We're extending the relationship structure in new directions via the Commercial Integration Cell, and we're adding to our ever-growing SSA data sharing arrangements. Each of these steps, though, is expected and predictable. Our next level of effort moves us in a whole different direction. There is a reason why I'm here today in Kevin's slot, and it has entirely to do with the new administration strategy, and it centers on Space Policy Directive 3, but it's also more widespread. For those of you that missed the memo last year when the President signed SPD 3, a lot happened that day, and the most important was the designation of the Department of Commerce as the lead government organization for civil and commercial SSA and STM. At its core, SPD 3 directs a new approach to space traffic management that addresses current and future operational risks. This new approach must set priorities for SSA and STM innovation in science and technology, incorporate national security considerations, encourage growth of the U.S. commercial space sector, establish an updated STM architecture, and promote space safety standards and best practices across the international community. This isn't then about business as usual or simple transactional activities. This is about turning the whole affair upside down. We're not looking at enhanced SSA and STM enabled by the designation of the Department of Commerce as the responsible agent. Instead, we're looking at an explosion of space commerce driving, truly intertwined with, advanced SSA and STM. This is about how we integrate the old with the new, not the new with the old. We, Kevin and I, don't want to see one or two more partners added to the CIC, a nation here or a company there added to the list of SSA sharing partners. Sure, we want these, but what we really want is to completely change how we look at this. Think about waking up this morning in today's environment and essentially spending the day balancing Kepler against a columnar list of where something was seconds, minutes, hours, or even days ago, and for the most part, being okay with that state of affairs. Then let's just look at tomorrow. Not the far distant tomorrow of science fiction, but say the tomorrow of this Saturday and the demo flight of Crew Dragon, or the tomorrow of the next few years encompassing LEO megaconstellations, or to again quote SPD 3, the tomorrow of satellite servicing, debris removal, in-space manufacturing, and tourism. Think about SSA and STM in those contexts. How about complicated by simultaneity? How about management of not just physical or Keplerian space, but also management of spectrum, management of or prioritization of information flow? Remember, this is a near-term tomorrow with potentially dozens or more people, robots, factories, transporters, powered and unpowered vehicles, all interacting, all moving, some autonomously in an intricate ballet. Now multiply that across and between orbital regimes into cislunar space. Think about the future expansion to the Lagrange points. Oh, wait. This isn't an existential chicken or an egg question. History is replete with examples of domains, regions, technologies, all driven by commercial ventures. This room, if any, knows we're enjoying a phenomenal space renaissance driven almost wholly by entrepreneurial commercial ventures. SpaceX, Blue, Vox, Strato, Planet, Rocket, Nano, and many, many others. Commerce, commercial activity, economic prosperity, to quote SPD3 yet again, will drive us to advance SSA and STM. We can't afford not to. Additionally, and this is the happy paradox, the burgeoning commercial environment will demand better, but it is also that commercial environment which will enable better SSA and STM. And this is the final piece of the cooperative partnerships I want to talk about today. Yes to CSPOC, yes to MSC, yes to CIC and SSA sharing, and yes to DoD and DOC executing SPD3. The final piece is about the how, as we envision it. The who is all of you and many more across the community. We don't see the future of SSA and STM bounded by yesterday's thinking, yesterday's single partners, yesterday's limiting fiduciary relationships, or yesterday's lines on a map. We see tomorrow's SSA and STM encompassing our vital interests to advance the security, economic prosperity, and scientific knowledge of the nation. Tomorrow's thinking is balanced across defense, commercial, and civil. Tomorrow's SSA and STM has a myriad of partners enabled by flexible relationships, bridging national boundaries while balancing sovereign needs. SPD3 is holistic and includes S&T, debris mitigation, mission partnering, data, standards, and responsibilities. As we've developed this, goals 4 and 5 in SPD3, mission partnerships, and the open architecture data repository are key. The how then comes in many forms. Are you a defense, civil, commercial, allied, academic, or other partner? Do you deal in raw or basic data? Do you deal in data management, data analysis, data manipulation, artificial intelligence, or machine learning? Partner with us. The how envisions multiple fluid partnerships. Do you have a specialty tool or analytical capability, a unique algorithm? Do you communicate better, move data more securely? Do you operate independently of a specific geographic location? Can you aid decision-making? Did you invent the ideas behind multi-domain? Do you seek to collapse time? Partner with us. As is evidenced by this diverse set of skills and capabilities, we don't think this will be a restrictive partnership of just one or two players delivering all things to all people. Instead, we envision a multifaceted environment with extensive partnerships based on innovation, agility, and best of breed. Small and big, legacy and new, tech and thought, shared risk, mutually beneficial. Rapid expansion of commercial space endeavors will demand advanced SSA and STM. Similarly, rapid expanding commercial capabilities will enable advanced SSA and STM. Partnerships at all levels of all kinds are the key. Thanks, and I look forward to your questions.